Hey, hello everybody. It's episode 10th, 10th episode of Grizzlies World Wide. And today we travel to the Caribbean, to Trinidad and Tobago, and to talk with my guy e5Mayor. E5, how are you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up? I'm cool. Everything is nice for the while. How are you over there?
Pretty cool too. Pretty cool too. Yeah, it's summer. I love the summer, so it's pretty cool down here.
Nice.
So yeah, so uh, we're gonna talk about the Grizzlies, of course. What else? And we can start like with the draft. Um, we draft with the ninth pick, Zach Edey. Let me ask you first question. Were you surprised that we picked Zach Edey with the ninth pick? It surprised you at the time?
Um, to be honest,
Hmm.
no. And the
Okay.
reason being, I'm not going to lie, I don't really follow college basketball. Like,
Hmm.
I just started watching basketball like not too long ago, 2019, when Jack came in the league.
Yeah.
So it was like I was trying. This was like the first draft where I really tried to look at some prospects and stuff like that. And Edie was a name that was bouncing around in the Grizzlies Twitter space and stuff like that. So I got familiar with his name with Klingon, and I was more looking for the bigs. So if it wasn't
Hmm.
going to be Klingon, it had to be Edie. That was my two that I was going for. So we got one, and I'm grateful. And he looks like a player that is ready to play. I mean, he was supposed to be playing for Canada um,
On the
this
Olympics.
Olympics. Yeah, and he chose to play with the Grizzlies to get used to the system. So that alone shows you how serious he's taking it, and that is something that is very, very like it's great to see that he is taking that step already.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I agree with you. Um, did you? I'm not really also like into prospects, to be honest. But you talked about Klingon. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter too. Do you like had a preference either before the draft or you didn't?
Honestly speaking,
Yeah.
watching their games or their
Hmm.
highlights, to me, they look a bit similar. But Edie looked a little more dominant regarding his height, and it was just a little more easier for Edie to get his way. That's just how it looked to me. He looked really like forceful, and he could get whatever he wants in the paint. To me, with Klingon look a little more technical, like he knew what he was doing with his foot, where to go. Um, but with the injury scares that we had in Memphis, I heard a bit about Klingon having like a serious injury that he had to go through his career, his college career, for a good while. So that kind of dampened me wanting to have Klingon on the team. Um, and yeah, I was either for Edie or taking um like trading the pick for somebody else, but I did not know who we would have
Hmm.
brought in.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. There's been some questions, reasonable questions, about how you mentioned like the footwork. There's been some questions how Edith's game can translate to the NBA. Do you see difficulties there? Do you see that's going to go well? Mm, what's your thoughts
I
on
mean,
this?
to me,
Hmm.
if we look at the Grizzlies, if there's one thing we do know is that the Memphis Grizzlies can develop a player. We've seen
Yeah.
it time and time again with players like Vince. players like Gigi, you know, even Desmond Bain. Bain wasn't the player he was today. Bain was a spot up shooter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it a lot of times. Our core literally grew in Memphis, you know, and we have to remember that Zach Edey didn't grow up playing basketball. I think they say it's about 6 years,
6 years,
6 or 8 years that he's been playing basketball.
basketball.
So
Yeah.
we are seeing a very raw image of Zach Edey at this point in time. Now, with the coaches that we have now, I must say, yes, sometimes we are a bit annoyed with our coaches regarding the choices that
Mm-hmm.
they make on the court at the in the game, in time, in game situations. But developmental work, we could never be pissed off regarding the developmental side of the coaching in Memphis. So that is one thing that I am really waiting to see, because if this dude is getting 20 boards and I think it was like 15, 20
Mm-hmm.
points per game or something like that,
Yeah.
that is crazy. And I don't care how much people say the league is bigger, or the paint is bigger in the league. That man is 7'4", damn near 300 pounds. It is going to be a tough night for any big to see about Zach Edey, even at his um, young stage in his career, only playing for 6 to 8 years. I'm not sure how much,
Six
it is.
years, 6 years,
Yeah,
I believe.
six
Yeah.
years. So it's going to be difficult for any big at this point in time to deal with the size of Zach Edey, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Still about Zakiri, on Greece Twitter, there's this debate upon on his nickname. Do you have like a preferred nickname for him?
Honestly, I don't have a nickname at this
Ah,
point in
no,
time.
you did. Yeah.
Probably,
Some people are
probably
calling the big wall, like the big wall of China, or the big
uh-huh.
maple, because the maple is on the flag of Canada.
Canada, that's
Um,
correct.
yeah, I
Um,
like big maple. Yeah,
yeah,
or
I
yeah.
mean, I like it, but I always like to put like my little spin on stuff. So like, remember when
Mm,
Jake Larivia was kind of heating up, coming down to the end of the season, I was like, "That's Kool Aid Jake,"
and
because
Kool-Aid Jake, yeah.
yeah, somebody put something in his Kool Aid. So like, it has just come to me spontaneously. So I would have to see Edie play for me to really
Mhm.
like get a nickname. So I'm
Okay,
still,
okay.
yeah, I'm still waiting for that, so I could put my little spin on something.
Okay, I'll be waiting for that too. I'll be paying attention to the nickname you'll be putting already for sure, for sure. Now, also in the draft, we draft Jalen Wells and Cam Spencer. Do you know? Did you know anything about these players? Do you know now anything about these players? And if you do, what do you know? In case you
No, I did not know anything about these players. As I said before, I never really watched the college game or the prospects, and I have heard great things and saw some footage from the Jalen Wells guy.
know.
I know we picked him 39th, and I'm just waiting for the surprise. I'm just waiting to see what he brings to the table. If he is a instant fit to the team, if Cam Spencer would be able to bring the intensity I have been seeing in his highlights. You know,
Hmm.
he
Uh-huh.
looks like a fiery guy, and that I love that. I love watching players fight and you know
Mm-hmm.
put for the ball. I love seeing every possession count. That is how I like to play anything, honestly speaking, because I am just competitive. So I like the teams that I am supporting to be just as competitive or even fight. You know. So I'm just waiting to see that fighting spirit from both of those guys, um, and see how they fit into the team and what is going to take place regarding the situation. Because I do know we have a few players right now, and some guys would have to, um, leave because I
Mm-hmm.
think we are over the limit regarding the I think it's 15 players if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So yeah, so I'm not sure what's going to take place there, but we still have some business to do still, just to nip and tuck the team to get ready for the next season.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know how the two-way works? The two-way. I do know how they works, but the two-way they take Russ's spots. Do you know that? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think the two-way takes roster spots.
Okay.
I do believe they would stay affiliated with the G League team more,
Uh-huh.
and the 50 games are just for the regular season. So that is why I was pushing so much for Vince to get a
Uh,
real contract,
yeah.
because I was seeing that this kid could make a difference in the team immediately, and you was seeing it when he was coming in for the little stints. I mean, he got 12 points this season per game, and
Mm-hmm.
for like 10 games he played like 10 minutes. That is amazing. Like, I don't need to rant on the about Vince this episode, but you know how great that is to see that kind of um stats after getting garbage minutes for nearly half the season, and then when the team was kind of depleted, you got a bigger role and you played so well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
That.
think that is the whole situation with the two-way. You get 50 games, but you're more affiliated
The G League team.
with the G League team. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was watching on the roster. We have a couple of guys on two ways, like Pippen Jr., Jamison, but still, I think we are like on the main roster, like I believe over 15. I believe so.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
believe so too. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a shaky off season. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of guys are going to come off. Those, especially the two-way guys. I do believe Jamison, that might be it for Jamison in Memphis. I mean, it was good to see Jamison get some playing time, and but as
Mm-hmm.
Edey is here, I do believe all the bigs or the replacement bigs that we was using for um last season, most of those guys would then have to, you know, find elsewhere to play basketball or whatever the case is. Reason being, we have our target, and I'm sure we're going to target at least one more big to be able to get some assistance for Brandon Clark and Edey.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And well, since you brought up Vince Williams, uh, how uh, how was for you as a fan watching last season? What kind of balance do you do of a season like that
Um,
injury plagued season that we had?
it was tough. It really was like, okay, so to start this season, I, having Ja out was
Mm-hmm.
already depressing. Like, we was counting down those games. I'm sure you remembered how the timeline was looking. We was literally counting down those games.
Yeah.
Um, and we got Ja back. I believe we got him for like 9 games.
Yes.
And
Nine.
yeah, we won. I think it was 6 games out
True.
of
True.
those. Yeah. And it was looking like everything was going back up. We had Vince playing because they realized, well, no, this Vince kid, you know, even Like, okay, quick story. I'm sure all Memphis fans know this.
Mhm.
The game that Jad just came back, when we was down by like 20, and Vince took that tree coming down to the end and was
Which is CJ
shitting in
McCollum.
McCollum's face. Correct. That
Yeah.
energy that Vince brought, even though we was down by how much ever, you know, to see that
Uh-huh.
kind of energy and that kind of hype, and then going into the break room, the locker room, coming back out, winning that game in the second half. Like, we saw what Vince means to this team, even though it was an injury ridden season. We got a lot of glimpses from Gigi Jackson, seeing
Mhm.
what he can be as well in this team moving forward. And to top it off, we've gotten to grow our two of our big three players. We've gotten to see these guys grow. Reason being, Jaren had to do a lot of digging and clawing and fighting in the paint by himself, being the main target on the defenders, on the
Yeah.
opponent, on the opposite side. And he was able, to get some points, some good scoring nights. He
Yeah.
had his
Yeah. I
30
did saw an
point
offensive
games.
whip on Jaren. Yeah, I did see an offensive whip on Jaren.
Exactly. It was great to see that, Payne as well, even though he didn't play much because of the injuries that he also received.
Hmm.
It was great to see that he was picking up the mantle and trying to get to the rim. He was playing a little fast, but he was still trying, and he did well and got a lot of points and stuff like that, and he might have been an all-star if he didn't get that injury. It would have been a real close chance for him being an all-star this year, because the numbers that he was putting up was really good. You know.
Hmm.
Um Also, there was one more player. Can't remember his name at this point in time, but Lamar Stevens, I believe his name is. Yes,
Yes,
we
Lamar.
need to we need to keep that guy. We really do need to keep that guy. I do not know how it is going to take place, what we can offer him, because I do believe he's a free agent. Um, but that dude does things that our complete team would need. He is a player, uh, end of the rotation player that you could put in, and he will keep the game afloat. If it's with his jump shot in the paint, if it is him getting somebody open and making a pass, his defensive plays, nobody is just guarding off the Greek freak. Nobody
Uh-huh.
is guarding off Giannis just like that. That Seeing that play and watching him continuously, because before I speak on a player, I would watch one game. After I
Hmm.
watch one game, I would specifically pinpoint a player and look at everything they are doing within the game. I don't just look at where the ball is. Sometimes you have to look, and this is how you learn, especially when we're watching football or soccer, as some Americans would call it.
Hmm.
You don't just watch where the ball is, because you'll miss three
A lot of
quarter of the story. You have
yeah.
to look at the players, how they are running, how they are opening space. There's a lot of things, and it comes straight back into basketball as well. There are a lot of things that players do that some people will miss because they are just watching the ball. But players like Lamar Stevens are needed. Players like Vince Williams are needed. Players like Marcus Smart are needed. These guys bring the energy, and sometimes that is what you need for motivation to push your star players, you know. And I
Yeah.
believe we need a player like Lamar Stevens on our team, on our roster. Um, and I really do hope they keep him. So those would like the high spots for me. Um, During last year, well, not last year, but last season, and hopefully we could continue in that direction, especially with the new added talent that we have received.
How about Gigi? What did you how talk me about Gigi? What did you see in Gigi?
Gigi is a star. I I don't like to, like, especially we learned this in football. Like, we would say players are amazing talents, and then, like, we wouldn't hear from them again in in seasons. Like, I'm not sure if you know about El Sharari and
Yes, from Milan.
yeah,
And there
those
was in
guys
Roma.
from Italy, and correct, they were booked to be such amazing players. Even though they do play well, they did not live up to the hype. But I really just Gigi really surprised a lot of people. He played great basketball. He played mature basketball. You know, he didn't force his his presence. Sometimes it looked like they was not using him enough, but
Hmm.
you could see that he still got what he had to get, even if it was just standing up in the corner and waiting to shoot trees. You know, he played well. He did what he can do, and he also did what the coach wanted him to do. So for a young player like Gigi, I believe he's like what, 18,
19, I
19?
believe. 19, I
Right,
believe. He will be 20 in December. Yeah.
right. So for him to be that age and already getting a perfect balance of what players would want him to do, or what the coach staff would want him to do, and then knowing his prowess and what he is good at and what he can do, and blending the two together, it is amazing. It is great to see that. And once again, we just have to say kudos to the development staff at the Hustle. I think it's the Memphis Hustle and even the Grizzlies, to be able to continuously develop these players and put them out there to showcase the talent. People didn't even know who Gigi was. Most people didn't know who Gigi was, and now they have to respect him. Every time they see that 4-5, they have to respect Gigi. So that is one thing that Gigi did. Really balanced what the coaches wanted him to do, and playing his style of basketball as well. I think that really opened up Gigi to seeing how great his game could be, or how great of a player he could be. And also, even after the season, or when the All-Star break was around, we saw him training, we saw him in the gym. That is what we love to see. We love to see
Mhm.
players eager to continue learning. And Gigi shows you that he is always ready to learn. And
Yeah.
I am happy for that. And we have a really good team, and we just need to gel together. And at that point, I don't know where the limit is, but we would have fun next season.
Yeah. Do you think like this season being the way it was, like with the injuries and all stuff, like also of course it's gave the opportunity to some players to shine, like Vince, Gigi, you also talked about Lamar and others. But do you think like also in the mentality of the team, like for guys like Jaron, Des, Ja, of course, Marcus and others, like they're not in the playoffs. Like, do you think like it can work on your mentality, like for next season? Like, we don't want to be in this situation again. Of course, given the fact that we stay healthy, of course. Do you think that we can strengthen the mentality of the group?
Yeah, for sure. Now, even though we were injured, I must say I am 100% sure Ja takes, let's say, 40% of that blame that we didn't make the playoffs. Reason I would say that, and I'm sure Ja knows that as well.
Hmm.
The games that we won 6 out of the 3 games that Jamaran came back in. If you do that maths, right,
Hmm.
and you do that for the entire season, we make the playoffs by a
Yeah,
boatload,
easy. Yeah,
you
easy.
know? So even with the injuries, you put Jamarant on that team with a Vince Williams Jr., with a Gigi Jackson, you know, during those 25 games, we or even when Vince wasn't playing much or Gigi was still in the G League, Bane, Jaren, Ja. You just need 2 more players on the court,
Hmm.
you know. So it's
Yeah.
like, and then a bench. So we would have easily made the playoffs. That is not the question. Or we would have at least made the play-in to try to get into the playoffs. But yeah, I do believe the team have taken steps regarding um allowing themselves to be mentally prepared and also physically prepared, because most of that most of those injuries coming down to the end of the season after realizing we wouldn't make it to the playoffs were kind of milked. Um, but that was good, you know. Even
Hmm.
Marcus Smart spoke about it. He was like, "Yeah, we kind of, we had to. I took that time to really um make sure that I was healed for next season, because most of the times I've been playing through injury. So hearing things like that from the players themselves shows you that they really are looking forward to next season. Um, and we should too. It's going to be a treat come October. It's really going to be amazing to see those guys play.
Yeah, I miss that. I do miss that. And you're talking about chat. Chat has been really quiet uh for the last couple of months last year. Do you like this version of Cha, the quiet Cha?
I mean,
Quiet like on social media and
yeah,
yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, yes and no to a point. Um, we all like, the little banter and stuff like that, but it really looks as if Ja has matured a lot.
I agree.
I mean, he's a kid. I am a kid. I am only 24. You know,
Hmm.
um, we do
You're the
make
same age as Ja.
mistakes. Correct. So we do make mistakes. You know,
Hmm.
I make some big mistakes in my life as well, and I literally saw myself in Ja when he was going through that whole situation. Legitimately, we are children, and you could imagine getting that kind of money, at that
Yeah,
age. Like, it would be crazy. It would be crazy to
man,
manage.
man, man I tell you, I'm 48 and I still make mistakes, and I sure would still do mistakes. Yeah.
Exactly, So, but it's great to see that he is in a space where he seems happy. Thankfully, he has his family and his daughter, to keep that mental um check up, and
Hmm.
also he is able to step away from the the social media side of basketball and focus on himself, whether it be basketball wise, family wise, mentally, physically, spiritually, however it
Yeah.
is. But it's good to see change, because it takes change. to bring about change within your whole life or your whole demeanor. And once you do get that change, you would see the things that you do want to see, and hopefully that would be a championship in Memphis soon.
Yeah, 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 and of course, growing up is a part of it. Yeah. Um, I want to ask you also. And there's at point there was some debate on also on Twitter now about Jaren. He playing the five. What do you think about Jaren playing the five position?
I would never want to see Jaren 35 in my
me,
life again.
me neither.
And I love Jaren, but there comes a time where you just realize that this person cannot do this or does not want to do this, and he is more comfortable doing whatever it is that he was doing before. And I am not one for pushing someone, you know,
Hmm.
into a space where they would not want to be. You could lead the horse to the water. You can't force the horse to drink the water. You know, that is just how I see it. Now, I know that the question may be why you would not want to see Giant as a five. I mean, it's glaring. We already know the reason behind it. The
Hmm.
boards. We need to see Jaren get some rebounds and use his body in a way in which it would be forceful. You know, just like how Edey grabs 20 rebounds, gets
Hmm.
the ball up the court by just securing the rebound to give us a chance, you know, on the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
end.
yeah, and
That
like no,
Yes, that is what we don't see from Jaren, you know, and it's not a knock on Jaren because I love Jaren as a player, as a basketballer. You know, he seems to be a cool guy, but
yeah,
that would be one glaring um problem. And I do believe, yes, some of the fan base is very heavily on criticizing him because of that situation. Sometimes they may take it too far, certain groups, but
hmm,
some of it is warranted. So on that side, I do agree totally that Jaren rebounds is a situation that needs to be, you know, sorted out. Even if it's, I know a lot of people say it's a coaching thing and um it's how they want him to play and these stuff like that. But I have seen nights where Jaren's gameplay doesn't change, but Jaren's attitude to just jumping and getting that ball is totally different. And it may sound like if I'm just bullshitting, I do apologize for my language.
no,
But
no, no.
but I am telling you, I have seen where Jaren would jump and it looks like nobody is stopping Jaren even before he gets up and he gets the
Hmm.
rebound. So this is what we have been begging for. Now, I'm not going to go on a rant about Jaren and rebounding because that is like oil and water, and I'm not going to, you know,
Yeah,
I'm not going to bring that too much energy. But that is where I stand on that whole situation
yeah,
with Jaren at the five.
yeah, and I don't know if you agree, but like for me, like yeah, there's the rebounding thing. Yeah, yeah, of course, it's always a topic. But I think like the main reason why you wouldn't want Jaren playing at the five is like he's better playing like a power forward and on defense like roaming, not standing very like a center. I think you get the best out of his game when he's playing like the four, not the five.
Yes, that is correct. And I do know why they would want him to be a five. It's like he would be able to stretch the floor with his
Mm-hmm.
3 point ability. And we could use that. We could use that once in a while. You know? There's not a problem. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Draymond Green plays center, correct?
Yes.
If Draymond could play center I have no problem with seeing Jaren playing center once in a while because um Draymond is not your traditional center, but the one thing that he does have is the aggression. He is very aggressive. He would make you not want to get into the paint with him. And that is
Mhm.
what that is legitimately what we don't have from Jaren. And that is the
Yeah.
problem. So that is why I rather have him at the four with somebody who has that presence, you know, and then he'd be able to do what he does best. You know, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like what I think is best. And then probably like to close out the game, last 8 minutes, you want to run Jaren at the five for like 5 minutes. Cool, no problem. Space the floor, get some easy points for Ja, get some easy points for Bane, you know, those kinds
Hmm.
of things, no problem. But Jaren at the five for 48 minutes, no thank you.
Mm.
No thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm 100% with you. Now, you mentioned the 3-point shooting. That leads me to Luke Kennard. How do you see this situation that basically now he's a free agent? The Grizzlies, they announced both parties were eager to reach an agreement, which could mean like he could stay for longer years and less value each year. But still, it's going on. I don't know, like maybe almost a week, and still nothing happened. What? How? How are you watching this look Kennard situation?
All right. So, in a basketball perspective,
Hmm.
now I know how some guys would be like, you need a 3-point shooter, you need a 3-point shooter. And I had to bring it back to football to then bring it back to basketball because football is what I know most of the time, you know.
Yeah.
In football, we could have specialized players, so like strikers who
Hmm.
wouldn't be able to defend as much. We have midfielders who could pass the ball, you know, who could do certain things and be
Hmm.
able to defend a bit. Then we have the defensive midfielders who are more defensive minded but could still play a ball through the lines, you know?
Hmm.
Right. In football, you have a bit more of leeway to be bad at one point because you are extremely good at something else. In basketball, I don't think it's like that. And
Okay.
to me, even though we do know Luke can produce at the 3-point line, when we go back to the defensive side of basketball, because that is one thing about basketball, even I learned while playing it. It's not about
Hmm.
just getting to the rim. You had to be able to stay in front of the person you are guarding, or else it's trouble for your whole team. you know. Um, so like just me playing basketball, I had to learn how to stay in front of the player that I am guarding. And
Yeah.
yes, Luke can be hot, but it is not to the point where it's like every day or percentage wise he's great. But that would be because he's probably taking 6 shots, if so much, per game.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then after that, he's passing the ball. And then when we do get on defense, he is not, he's a defensive liability, you
Hmm.
know? And those are the things I watch. Like, for me, that is why you cannot be pissed off at Ja because Ja could get players open, Ja could get players hot, Ja could get to the rim, Ja could do all sorts of things that you wouldn't you wouldn't believe could have been done. And it's the same thing for the players on the opponent's team. They do not know what to expect with Jamarant. So
Hmm.
the defensive side, you kind of allow it. Now with a player that is holding a roster spot, um, who would give you about four threes, not four threes a night, but four three attempts, 3 point attempts a night.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say five for the most. Um, on a night when he's hot, he'd score six 3 points,
Yeah.
you know. But
Uh-huh.
on the defensive side, he's giving away 12 points, you know. So
I get what you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is it really that important to keep looking at now? I'm just using a logical mindset here. I'm not going into stats. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
into anything like that. I'm just using logic. So
Okay.
with a guy who is giving you six 3 points attempts, probably scoring two on a bad night, three on a average, and let's say he would score seven on a outstanding night, but
Mm-hmm.
still give away 12 to 15 points on the other side. Is it
Okay.
that important?
Yeah. I get it. I get it. But okay, now using like the logical mind that you're using, so I want to make, and yeah, you definitely have a point there, and but I want to ask you now a different question, because you're talking like basketball. You're just talking like basketball side of it, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also like the business side of it, because Kennard is an asset for a lot of teams. He could be an asset, and it would be like a poor management, GM management, like just to let him go. It would be like wiser to if you're not going to keep him, to try to involve him in a trade or something.
I totally agree with that as well. Like he would be a great asset to a lot of players. And if we are talking like business wise, yeah, you could get him on a contract and then probably like get somebody during the half of the season or the break, the all-star break. You know, that
Mm-hmm.
that does make some sense. But for me, keeping Canard is not a pressing matter.
Yeah.
Reason being, we have a lot of wings now, and this was the thing too. If everybody steps back and remembers the reason that we brought in Canard, everybody would understand that it was because Dylan Brooks could not shoot. If
Mm-hmm.
you blindfolded five of the opponents and had him close, like his the tip of his shoes on the 3 point line, he would not make the shot. That was Dylan Brooks. So this was the reason we had to bring in an offensive guard or winger, um and also have the defensive winger. And I did not have a problem with that whatsoever. But our team has changed where we have a young player like Gigi Jackson. We have a young player like Vince Williams Jr. We just brought in Jalen Wells. We still
Mm-hmm.
have Jake Laravia to see about regarding his contract situation with the Grizzlies unless they are looking to move on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we have a lot of players that I didn't even bring up Marcus Smart who
Yeah.
can shoot the ball or make a smart play. Not everything is about the 3 point, but make a smart play. And I do believe even if we do get a trade for Luke, we would be great. Like I see some guys acting like, Luke getting rid of Luke when we need 3 point shooting is the greatest mistake. And no, it really isn't. When you look at the depth of that position,
Mm-hmm.
at this point in time with the Memphis Grizzlies, it really isn't. And not only the depth, but the IQ of the players that we do have on that, especially speaking to Gigi and and Vince. Those are
Mm-hmm.
two brilliant basketball minds for such a young age and for just starting playing in the NBA. Like I would always look at this play that Ja told Vince to go in the corner. Now, if Ja Morant, if Demetrius Jamel Morant told me
Mm-hmm.
go in the corner, I am literally thinking, okay, I am going to go in the corner, stand up and shoot a three. He got the ball, did a dribble step, got to the rim, put a 2 points on the board for Memphis. That is the IQ that you want to see from players. You know, that is
Yeah.
that is what would make me say, okay, I could move on from a Luke Kennard who doesn't give me defense, but would score 3 points once, not once in a while, but at a okay rate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
on from this. Players like Gigi and Vince would allow me to say, all right, I can do this. And don't forget that we have Desmond being as well. Like that, our wing lineup is crazy at this point in time. And I am happy for that because we went through a lot. That Lakers
Yeah.
series was atrocious to watch.
Yeah.
I was depressed watching those games. I'm not even going to lie to you, bro. I
Wh-
was
Which ga- which
depressed.
which games? Which games you meaning?
Lakers in the series where we lost, I think it was in 5 games. Yeah,
Yeah.
that series was really tough to watch. It was tough knowing that we did not have a big, and then knowing that um Dylan Brooks was just shooting us out of that game.
Are you
It
talking
was.
like the other season against
Yes,
the
that's correct.
Lakers?
The other season, yes, in the last playoffs that we played.
Against the Lakers. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
You don't.
that that
Yeah. I don't remember. I didn't want to remember that. No, but yeah. Yeah. I
it
remember.
was depressing. It was really depressing, you know. And to see Jack come up with like 40 something points, and
Mm-hmm.
because this dude here shooting minus 25% at the 3 point line and continuously shooting, it was like ridiculous. It was ridiculous to watch. And then to top it off, we did not have a true center.
Yeah.
That was some scary hours, but it is turning over, and that is
Yeah.
the reason as to why I do believe Luke, if we get in something really great, Luke can go, because we are changing from that. We need trees to space the defense. We have players that could think, and when you have players on the same brain length, and also they are playing together and they could still play individually, that is a force to be reckoned with. That is
Yeah.
legitimately what Celtics did. And I didn't even watch most of the Celtics, but they have two players that can play together. Well, the entire team could play together, and they have two players that are very brilliant. And then I can't remember his name, but he's always on top of Vince in most of the stats when it comes to the guards. I really can't remember his name, but is
But
he?
on the Celtics,
Yes,
like he's a guard.
yes, he's our guard. I
Like
really
very quiet or true.
I
True.
believe it's Daniel. I think it's White. I think his name is the guy
Very
with the
quiet.
beard. The guy with the beard and the bald head. I believe it is. Um, and he used to wear.
Is Yeah, it's very quiet. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes. Derek White. Those guys, like, we have a Derek White. We have a
Yeah.
Jason Tatum and a Jalen Brown in Bain and Jamarant. Some would say much better. I would say much better. And Vince, Gigi, when you think about it, those guys don't have that kind of depth. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
they didn't deserve their championship, but the kind of depth that we do have on our team at this point in time is really great. It is a great thing to see. that sometimes we could be talking about the second string and forget about Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson. Like that that is a blessing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if we can get another big or
Yeah,
someone,
I wanted to ask you that. We do
mhm,
need another center. True.
I do believe that. I do believe that we do need another center. Um, we need at least three, and we have two at this point in time, but we need someone who would be able to be like a Stephen Adams
Mm-hmm.
to Edey. We do need that, because if we think Jaren is going to be that role for Edey, we are lying to ourselves. Not because I don't think Jaren could pass down information that was given to him, but his personality, I can't, I'm not sure, but I can't see him being like, you know, a serious, he looks more like a fun guy. You know what I mean?
Jaren?
Yeah, Jaren looks like more like a bro, you know, you chill with and these kinds of things. So like we
Mm-hmm.
need someone who has been in the league, who is nearly on their way out of the league, and could show and teach these young guys that this is how it is. You know, so if we could go out there and get someone who's still producing, um, because
You
I'm
have like
sure,
a name?
um, I really don't know. I
Okay.
am not sure at this point in time, but I
No.
do know that we do need a center that is either on his way out and is not looking for much minutes, because if we do have Edey, but I don't know how they are going to um go about this, but I don't think you're going to have a ninth overall pick playing in the G League, you know.
No, to be honest, in my opinion, I think, of course, they're not going to throw him on the hustle. I think I do think that he may get starting minutes, but he's maybe he's playing like, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes a game. And of course you still have BC who can who does the five position too, but still you would need someone um, to fill out the minutes. And so yeah, I do agree with you that we do need another center. Who I don't know. I don't know. There were a couple of names that were talked, but most of them are already signed. So I don't know what's going on there. But it's something that, yeah, I think we sure need to address, and I believe that we will, as a team, address
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, I do believe we would adjust it. I'm not worried about that per se. But it does it can't be like I've seen guys ask for Wiseman, or like this next guy in Detroit as well, um or Jared Allen. We can't go for these guys because they are young and they are looking for minutes. We just draft
Yeah, but
um
Wiseman, I think he's just signed elsewhere like 2 days ago. So
for real.
yeah, yeah, I am sure he did. I am not sure
Uh-huh.
where to, but I am sure. Yeah, I am sure he
Okay,
did.
okay, okay, cool, cool. I didn't see that news. But like, yeah, so those are the kind of guys just asking for. But if we being realistic, they will be demanding minutes. You know, they
Hmm.
are going to demand minutes. They are not going to come to a team where they are not going to get at least 25 minutes a game. And you know, some of them may want a starting role depending on,
Hmm.
especially regarding Memphis's situation last last season. So us drafting so high for Edey, I do believe we should give him some of, most of, not if not some, most of the minutes starting up to the start of the season, just to to let him, get used to it,
Mm-hmm.
because if you draft someone, you do believe that that person would be a cornerstone for your team.
For
That is
franchise,
the
yeah.
whole reason most of the times, especially with a high draft pick like that. You do expect that person to be a cornerstone of your franchise. So we are waiting to see what takes place regarding that situation. But I do know we need a big that is more on the agent side for more than one reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, for sure. And now, um, let me ask you, are you are you worried that we are so quiet in the free agency? We are not doing anything. Me personally, I am not, because I do think that we don't we have like many pieces already on our roster, so we don't need to to rush into moves. But are you worried that since the free agency started, we did nothing?
No. And
Mm-hmm.
I said that last year as well. Well, last season as well. And I still stand by that. The reason being, like, at that point in time, I was saying Stephen Adams may come back soon. We have Jaren, Ja, Bain. We had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of players that I could have listed out. And if I it has only grown, because we have to add two names to that list now, being Gigi and Vince. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the only
Yeah,
thing that we need to address is our center.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is legitimately the only thing that we need to address at this point in time. There are no need for any guards. There are no need for a point guard. Now I do know Derrick Rose is getting a bit old, so that might be uh a point that they may want to see about. Now I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if the season was just going to the dogs. So D Rose was like, it makes no sense I play this season,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
so I'm hoping is that, if it's that, no problem. We can have D Rose and Pippen Jr. as our secondary point guards. I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem with that. We have
Yeah.
Pippen for 50 games. We do know that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we can alternate between those guys. Um, but to say that we do need to go and get this big overhaul in the off season, I don't believe so,
Okay.
because the players that we do have at this point in time to our roster is not mediocre players. You
No,
know,
no, 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 not. Yeah, I was just watching. Like you can look. Like we have Chad, Tess, Sharon, Vince, Gigi, BC, Marcus Smart. Um, um. So there's like a lot of talent and a lot of and other players, of course. You said we don't know exactly what to expect from Rose. We had Pippen Jr. So yeah, I'm not worried too. I truly am not. But you did mention that we need to free some roster space. I want to ask you a question. Like, if you have like Zaire, Santi, Jake, and Concha. Would you keep, and who would you say, okay, go be happy somewhere else?
that is a tough, tough, tough,
Mm-hmm. It is.
tough,
It is. I know.
tough question. You know, especially regarding the situation where everybody wanted to say, it may have been Jake Laravia, but
Mm-hmm.
me seeing what I saw coming down to the end of the season, I cannot
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly say yes in the morning. make sure everything packed. You have 8 hours. I can't say that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Jake has shown a lot of growth within that end of the season. Like as I stated before, I would watch a player for like 10, 10 games, until I say like, okay, yeah, this is amazing. He's playing well, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I was like, okay, cool. I like what you did here. Jake, you played well. I had to see that on for the end of the season. I think I stated that on um one of my tweets. And
Mm-hmm.
he did that. He played well until the end of the season. I can't ask for any more. That guy who never got anything gave us a double double. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
that is
yeah.
crazy. I think he gave us more than one double double. But that is to show you. Also, um, Santi is a player that is dynamic, very dynamic. And
Mm-hmm.
just walking away from Santi is is a risk. And would it be a risk that you are willing to take? I do not know. You know.
Yeah.
Also, another player who may be the closest to the chopping board would be Zaire. Reason being, you need to be a player of your own identity, basically. Just like how I stated, yes, you could be great with one player, but you need to be able to have you need to be able to deal with things on your own. You need to be able to play a certain style of basketball even without whoever it is that makes you great. You need to make yourself great first, you know. And
Yeah.
I am not seeing that totally from Zaire.
From Zaire. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he really may be the closest one, you know, to the
Yeah.
chopping board regarding to that situation. And honestly speaking, wherever I could get my rebounds from, I would take them. And Concha is a guy that would give me 6 rebounds a night. And
Mm-hmm.
and I am not ready to step away from Concha giving me 6 rebounds a night until I see Edey transfer over 20 rebounds in the from college to the NBA. So I can't see myself saying by Contra either, just for that reason. And he is good defensively.
Yeah,
You can
he
say
is.
anything you
Yeah.
want. Contra is very good defensively,
I'm
so he's
yeah.
not a liability there.
No, no, and I'm not gonna lie. I do like Concha a lot. I do like because when many times when he comes into a game, he like creates like mayhem on the opposite team because of his defensive skills, as you said. He got a lot of deflections, steals, rebounds, as you said. So yeah, mm, I know this was a hard question, but I had to ask anyway.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so Zaire's the closest one. Okay, okay. So now two more questions for you. Regarding Taylor Jenkins, is he the guy to take us to the championship, or do you think that uh maybe at some point time, not on this season, of course, but at some point in time we could be in need of another coach?
All right. So this season would answer all of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Would tick all of those boxes. Reason I'm saying this, you have your center for the future, you have your power forward for the future, you have your small guard for the future,
Mm-hmm.
you have your point guard as well, you know, and you
Mm-hmm.
also have your other wing, so your shooting guard. You also have a mature player in Desmond Bain who I believe is the shooting guard, right? To bring up a player like Gigi Jackson. You also have a Marcus Smart who could instill some some knowledge to Vince Williams Jr. Jaren
Yeah.
Jackson Jr. is going back to be able to play his power forward role. Jamarant is going to be energized for next season because not only he missed 25 games, he got a taste of how the NBA is, and then it was quickly taken away from him. And his
Mm-hmm.
team was one of the worst teams in the league because of him missing a lot of time, right?
Right.
To top it off, we've gained a lot from that season.
Yeah.
And if you cannot show me that all the knowledge you got from last season could then bring forward into this season with the new players that you have gotten, including Vince and Gigi, because they were never in his sights to start, let's say it like that, or to play meaningful
Mm-hmm.
minutes. They were not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not supposed to happen like that because if we had the whole cast, they would not have been playing.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can't say that. Even if they would want to, make it sound nice and yeah, these guys have been in our regiment for a good time and we've seen the progress, and they were not going to play meaningful minutes. They
Yeah.
are going to have to play meaningful minutes now because you see the talent in our faces. So we are looking forward to seeing these guys playing. You do have a great squad. Now it's up to you. It's
Yeah.
legitimately up to Taylor Jenkins. I heard
Mm-hmm.
that they threw away half of the coaching staff and they're looking to get some new coaching staff now. That means it's game time. It legitimately, we have given you all the pieces. I literally named all of the guys that we do have at this point in time without even calling most of our bench. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Mm-hmm.
just the starters and the immediate substitutes for those players. And that
Yeah.
shows you how great this team is at this point in time. If Taylor Jenkins cannot at least get us to 7 games and I'm being very lenient here, 7 games in the semifinals or the second round of
Yeah.
the Western Conference,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
this this season is a failure. We could
Okay,
have
that's
come
fair.
first in the in the Western Conference. We could have beaten Spurs 6 times. I would not care. I would not care. We need to at least play 7 games in the
In the
second round
semifinals. Yeah, the
for me
semifinals
to
of the
say,
Western
okay,
Conference.
that is some progress, and we are getting there. Next season is ours. That is
Yeah,
how
okay.
I must feel for Taylor Jenkins to be my coach for
Mm-hmm.
another season after this one. And
Yeah.
without that, I cannot say wholeheartedly, yeah,
Yeah.
he
You're
can
you're
send
being
us to the
fair.
promised land.
Yeah, yeah, and you're being fair because I was speaking with young Garrett the other day, and she was setting the bar on Western Conference Finals. So you're still being kind to Jenkins. So yeah.
Well, I
Now,
mean, the West is getting tough, you know.
yeah, 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 yeah,
This
yeah.
this team, Minnesota, did get this kid, who plays
Mm-hmm.
good basketball as well, teamed up with those guys. So the league is getting tough. The Western Conference is getting tough,
Yeah,
and
but
there
we're
are
getting
still
tough
moves
too.
to be, yeah, there are still moves to be made in the Western Conference. So I wouldn't say the finals at this point in time because we don't know how it is going to power off, and the
Yeah.
ball hasn't even been tipped as yet. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but I need to see us at least in the semifinals, 7 games,
Okay. For sure.
seven
That's stamped.
games.
That's stamped on. So my last question for you. Starting point. We remain healthy. How do you foresee next season?
Can you repeat that question?
Uh, give, how do you foresee? How do you envision next season? Of
Hmm.
course, given the principle that we stay healthy. Okay, of course, this is that.
I want to see us first. Like I legit want to see the Grizzlies fighting for that number 1 spot and not 6 games behind like how we was against Denver last year. I
Mhm,
want to be neck and neck with Denver. Denver make a mistake and we on top the conference. I want it to be like how football feels when
mhm,
the point system is in place and is the best team for the entire season. That is what I want. I want us to be fighting because at the end of the day we are trying to learn. We are trying to come together and understand this new team, especially with the new players that we are going to get. So I want to see that we are fighting, and while fighting, we are dominating. And I want to dominate the Western Conference, and then I want to see about Celtics. I really do want to see us in the finals next year. Um, but the end goal for me is really and truly um
mhm.
7 games in the semifinals of the conference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I am gonna tell you, like, I really miss watching a healthy Greece team. I can't wait like for October to arrive and so to watch again like a healthy
For
Greece
real.
team. Yeah, yeah. It's been a tough year, tough season. Yeah, so things will get better for sure. Like E5, it was a pleasure to have you here. And hopefully you can come back beginning the season. You can come back and we talk um, of a healthy Grizzlies uh, team, beating up the West. Hopefully, okay.
For sure, for sure. That's not a problem.
Yeah, okay. I want to thank you so much for being here. It was an honor again. Yeah, it's the second time you've been here. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so
that's
much
not
for
a
being here.
problem. And it's been the second time, but for sure it won't be the last.
No,
Love
no, no.
talking basketball with you guys. And yeah, you keep doing your thing, bro, and do enjoy the rest of your day. And good luck today.
Okay, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.